Cachonach ea yochsatini iltekat Johan. Ya huchi ai yang hawush kanachutu da Aadé. Ya tak shuwu. Itch yis tak a wakdisi. Zu wush kanachtu da Aad. Ewa ach kunachwe dachte shi. Ach yikwati. Yewa wuchi neje tu ne kanachaya yake. Wuch is khan. Wuch ya wudne. Yewa ach tuwasaku yata kachaya. Ye kuk kwasti. Wan qanins ya ikhank ayi. Ye yeji ikhuni khaswasati. Wan qanins qawa tash. Wuch ya wudne. Tash hasuji. Yewa adatu tachutam gwan qanins. Ya yanwad adusa ach has outletum. Wan qanins has qachwawus adan. Wan ach saya ya dayachawe ya ku'u wan qanins. Nikde naya. Ye has ya anasnin. Ya has to in ku'uutin. Yewa gwash hechasaku wasagachtusa. Lateral violence you do sago at kel haqinach. Gwashingit einach nikden aya. I in ku nikden dadun ye dadune. Ya wuch in ku'uutin. Yewa achtuwasaku de kik aya. Wush kind de kik aya wush tilshad. Hajin wush tilshad wush jin tilshad tse. Ajo ishtiqa khatati Johan. Wuch wutusku. Kunachawe yak e. Ka yewa adatu tuchtatan. Gwash qone e ke kwati ach kusti. Achu a Johan. Ach idig ach yidishi. Wasa ach tu yak e adat. Kleinach ye ha oti. Wuch in chasati. Ajo e ke guchtlatin ha yukatangi. Ke guchtlatin ha kusti. Yalta katuhan. The gunnel chi show ye tu ani. Wasa ach tu yak e adan. Ha tik e na ya ye jiene ya ha yukatangi dat. Ye awe etu ye yeti. Etu ye yeti aya ha yukatangi. Yashingitun de tani tsu. Kone aya etu de aya akawaha ya kanehin. Gunnel chi shuhan ya yeti. We sahan shkashniki Kuhaantí Aadé jagachtune ya idat. Gwalli tu asagu yuchai watani ya idat. Gug. Yeah. Any questions before we start? In the study group, there's a study group that was meeting for a while. I think Nila Tocha was going through the opening speeches of the classes, so that was pretty fun. In intermediate Lingi, I make them recap. I was like, what did you hear? What did you understand? And then I try to remember all the things that I said to them. But a big message that I have is like, I'm just very grateful that we respect each other and love each other. Not everybody does that all the time. We live in communities where people hurt each other, where people talk about things like respect, and I think about what does it mean to be shaanáx. And some people don't get to wear that title. And I think there's going to be some community discussions in the near future about the ways we treat each other and the ways that we do things. Because I think there's a lot of tendencies to just sweep things under the rug because they're uncomfortable. But I think then sometimes bad behaviors sort of can just continue and they just go sort of unchecked. And it's difficult to think about these things, but I like the word wuch ischan, that's a noun for loving each other. Wuch ya wudne, that's another noun, respecting each other. And I think those are serious concepts, like those take active, I think what I said, that's what I want to live upon, is like concepts of respect and love, and what does that stuff mean? And so I think about that stuff a lot. There's some stuff that I think we'll be talking about that happened in our community and the ways that people treat each other. And this goes back. This is nothing new in terms of like lateral violence and what kinds of things we need to talk about. But those are things, and the reason why I talked about them though is because I'm so thankful that we're kind with each other here. And so for me, that also includes like um, just like feeling safe. Like if I feel like if my life started to go out of control, like some of you would help me, and that's really comforting. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that we know each other and that we're working hard together and doing all this stuff. And that's how the language gains strength, and that's how our way of life gains strength is by holding each other up and not doing things to harm each other. So I was really last night we studied. Well, I don't think we did it last night. We did it like maybe last week. We really studied the opening, well, this speech that George Davis gave about like don't do things with ill will to the people of the world who are like you, and don't say things with ill will, because like the world just, it's interesting because we know the world spins, but the verb we use is yanashkwat, which means the world is rolling, which is, it's rolling too. It's not wrong. And so what they say is the things that you put out there will come back upon you. And so if you're doing the nikdane, then that means Nik is going to come walking upon you. But if you're kind and you're loving, then when your life is out of control, the people you're kind with will help you. I see that all the time. So, Ganesh, let's get to the story. Unless anybody has any thoughts they want to share.
No, I just want to say that we did do the study group again today, and it was great. It's really helpful to go do a deeper dive on what you say to us and talk about the terminology. We had a difficult time trying to figure out the from the Thanksgiving turkey discussion. Wasn't sure how we're going to translate that, but no. But we're planning on doing, I think, Wednesdays and Fridays starting the new year. So if people want to put that on their calendars, thank you.
Okay. And yeah, I'll send out an email by the end of the week too that just says, here's ways we could stay in touch. Here's if we want to sort of, I'm going to try and re-envision the base camp and maybe just make it one big, huge thing because it's not a whole lot of people that participate in any of it. So I think getting everybody into one thing might increase it. And we'll see. We have that other Zoom link, and then there's also a number of entities that are trying to find ways to bring more people together more often. So, and especially, and then also like having organic study groups that just sort of form on their own too. So don't wait for it to happen. You can't wait for magic. You gotta make magic. You can't just sit there waiting for someone to cast a spell. You have to cast the spell, and the spell is the gathering spell. And so, but I think also having those working groups, and a lot of you already have them, right? But then we're going to need, if some of you aren't working in groups that are sort of actively working on stuff, then odds are you're probably spending too much time in English. And so I know we're all busy and it's hard to just add another thing, but those are some things that we'll talk about as ways to do that. And especially if it's not like a big burden on anyone. It's just sort of like, hey, let's gather at this time. It works for us. Let's gather at that time. It works for us. Let's work on this thing, you know. And so just ways to keep building language community. Like I'm really interested in that because on a day-to-day basis, there's probably very few people, like even if you just looked at Juno as an example, if I just said, okay, what if I had like the ability to listen to what everybody's talking about all over town? I just tuned in to everybody. Like who's talking about Tlingit grammar and how to say this thing, how to say that thing, and it's probably going to be 6 people, right? Or maybe 10. I don't know. It's not going to be very many. So that means you have to find the people who are talking about that stuff and keep talking about it. So, okay.
So yeah, can I also say, so I took a carving class this last weekend, and the good thing about Herb and the way he teaches is that the whole time we're in class, we're listening to our elder speeches, different celebration speeches. I mean, the whole time we're there, so 6, 8 hours. And it was really, really good to have that constant, listening over and over again. And then we would just talk to each other about it while we're carving or we're doing on one of our projects. And I really realized how much we could just do more of that, and it would be very helpful.
Yeah, so you guys have access to the whole Downhauer collection. You have access, like the whole, like Because We Cherish You, that whole series of speeches, like that's all in there. And so, and then also like the Raven book and all of those stories are, even though it's not finalized yet, but you still have them. You have all of Alice's wonderful collection of dialogues and conversations. There's the whole De Laguna, like we have the entire De Laguna collection, right? Like everything that she recorded in, I think in Angoon and also in Yakdan. So we have those things, and we have the whole, almost a whole Hashagun video collection out of the interior. And so there's 1,000 hours of stuff at your fingertips. But then, that the action is to sort of put that thing on and to watch it and to listen to it. And very thankful for all the people over the last 100 years who have been collecting all of this stuff and who have been making sure that it's accessible. And like Frederica de Laguna in her will, I think, said all the originals go back to where I got them. Because I was there in Yakutat when they brought this giant container full of these original tapes. And then she's donated money. They were going to donate it to the university. And oh, I guess this is recorded. But somebody who might have looked like me said, no, give it to Yakutat. Go up there and build a place to store this stuff. We'll be fine. We don't need, not to say the university doesn't need money, but bring it back to where those things were harvested. And she did. And so her estate did anyway. So I give her a lot of credit for being solid in terms of like how she documented stuff, uh, how she translated everything while she was there. And so it's really great. I'm going to cheese Jock for putting the link in there.
Renee, can I ask which one of those resources has audio, text in Tlingit, and so that as we're listening, we can see the Tlingit, but also know what? Isn't there one of those that has that?
Yeah, there's quite a few. So I guess now would be a good time to look through some of that stuff. So hold on a second. Let me get to the right spot. So there are, and I'll make sure to put these links at the top of our class webpage. But basically, so I have a Google Drive for as long as I work for the university. And the big one is probably Tlingit curriculum. And that's where most of the stuff is placed. There is one called Tlingit Audio, which does have a bunch of stuff on here. And so as people hand me stuff, I usually put it on here. So I think under Fred White, this is where you get the Hutz Shawat. This is the version that's in Hashuka. Uh, and that was audio that was very hard to track down. I mean, Fred had it, right? But a lot of folks were looking for that. And then there's a number of other, so you can sort of just go through here. There's Shukg history. There's some Raven book. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here, right? And so some of that could be just sort of going through and looking and just sort of wandering through. If you go back, there is the Downhauer collection redone. I have it up to 240. I gotta migrate, I'll migrate the rest of them over on the break. There'll be 500 tapes that are in here, along with the finding guide that can tell you what's on those tapes. There's also, under the letter D, there's De Laguna. So here's the De Laguna collection. And I'll make sure there's links to this on our Advanced Tlingit webpage. So here's Angoon, Yakutats, field notes. There's like so much stuff in here. It takes a little bit of cross-referencing to find particular songs and stuff, but we've been able to do that. Sometimes it does take a little bit of digging, but basically if you look in here under 1952, like here's like this is where we got a bunch of these Raven stories. And there's very high quality recordings. They're very high quality, just in terms of like the clarity and everything that's on there. Then there is, if we go back to uh, Tlingit videos. So here is where there's some videos from Elizabeth Nyman, or of Elizabeth Nyman, George Davis, a number of different things that are on here. These traditional beliefs where there's these four elders who are talking about Yakwaheaku and a bunch of pretty big concepts. The Hashagun videos are in here, and Hashagun, the one that has Danawak, that one's in here. And then there's just a number of different things that you could find in here that some I recorded, some others recorded. And then when we go to the Tlingit curriculum folder, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. But in terms of looking for things that you could listen to and read at the same time, I would probably recommend you go to shukg, and then you could go down, and here's not all of this will have audio. Some of it is just print. But if you do go down to, oh, and let's see, I don't know if I have all of this organized. Maybe I'll do a little organization over the break, but I doubt it. But if you go to shukg, this is where you'll find, like, here's Amy Marvin's Glacier Bay history. Here is, let's see, Duktuk, the audio for that. Here's Guski Kwan, the audio for that. Here is Kotz, the audio for that by J.B. Fawcett. Here's Tuk, I think, is in here, and other versions of Tuk and Duktuk that aren't printed. So sometimes you could find a version of a story, like in Tlingit oral literature, we read part, not all of Anak Idak, but then we listened to a different version of it by the same storyteller. And you could do, like, there's probably 10 versions of Tuk by Robert Zuboff in the Dowenhauer collection. And then here's Susie James and her Glacier Bay history. Here's Tonka by Robert Zuboff. Here's Tom Peters. There's a few different versions for some of this stuff. So I don't know. As I put things together, I think complete is probably the final. Just look for the newest one. Listen to the newest one. I don't know what to tell you. So in this case, I would probably say this complete one is the best one to listen to, because the Tom Peters, the woman who offended the bears, that was two different recording sessions. And so I was able to find them both and splice them together. And then you have Basket Bay, and some of these are really cool because I think one of them has a retype, because there's just some stuff that's not in the printed version that I gave a close listen to, and just there's actually two different stories, two different recordings on there for the cup one. So let me check out the chat. Oh, Gulchish. Oh yeah, and then the Sea Lion and Ptarmigan, Gulchish for that recommendation. So that one, some of these are on YouTube as well, and some of the YouTube ones, like Ak Tatsin by Cyril George, Khan Kalkates Awa by Kingisti, they have subtitles that you could turn on for the YouTube videos, and so Gulchish. There was a bunch of stuff recorded this summer too that we'll probably try and find a way to release.
And where did you say was the best way to get to your drive?
So I guess I would say, let's go take a look. So if you go to tlingitlanguage.com, you can hit curriculum, and then here's the Tlingit curriculum folder. So that's the
Yeah.
big folder that gets you in there with Shaanáx and other things that are there. Otherwise, I think I tend to just put a whole bunch of stuff, like, so here's our class webpage. I put a whole bunch of stuff up on the top. Like, here's the basic texts that you need. And then as you go down, this is Tlingit audio. This is the Dowenhauer collection redone. This is Tlingit videos. then here's the curriculum folder. So this links to basically everything. I think the one thing I don't see that I'll probably add is the Raven Book audio, the Raven Book draft, which I think should be shared. I mean, I don't know. Who knows when that thing will ever come out? And I know some people will get grumpy if I share too much stuff, but that's why I write it in Tlingit, because they probably can't read Tlingit, so what are they going to do? And then it comes down to like the class, right? And so the other thing you could do is you go through. We had a Tlingit oral literature class this semester, which the last 2 or 3 weeks been a little hit and miss. I mean, the Chikwu and Yiddish have done a wonderful job covering, but just I couldn't make it to a lot. It was Fridays for 3 hours, a, per session, and it's almost all. It's pretty much entirely in Tlingit. So you can watch these classes as we listen to and read a whole bunch of stuff, and then you can access all of the stuff that we went through on there, which includes here's the draft of the Raven book, and here's a whole bunch of the audio from the Raven book. And I'll put a link up here too that says Raven book audio. Like that's 600 pages of stuff, and we've got all the audio for it because we've been working on it. And so that's really helpful to have that stuff and also if you find a recording that you really like and then you listen to it and then you read along and then you read the translation, like you could just keep listening to it because your English brain already knows the translation. So then your Tlingit brain starts to put together all the pieces. I think it does really help. Okay. So that brings us back to here. So, to summarize the story, there was a girl who was by herself because of a big sickness and was taken in by the village leader to make into his daughter so that his daughter would have a friend. The daughter of the head person of the village offended the water spirits, and then I think married someone, and then they were wealthy and lost all their wealth, and then the guy left the lady and gave a gift to the leader so that he could marry Sahan, who was the orphan. And I think we sort of got to a description of her, which we just translated what was in the text. So she's not talkative. She listened to her, but I think it was attentive. So you could also say duda, agyausdak, right? It's some sort of repetitive version of that, which means to take care of someone. But these were a little bit outdated sort of terms. But we just translated what was in the story. And then she's smart and hardworking, and she knows how to take care of things. And I think that's where we left off. So that gets us to here. Oh, somebody want to read it? Let's just go line by line, translate it. I think we're at line 34. So we got 22 to go. Should we establish a reading order? Would that make it easier? Hold on.
Asaku wuch in you kadul atgi.
Sheesh.
Asaku. So knowing together is about as much as I pull out of that.
Okay. So yeah, we're still talking about the same person. So it's probably she knows. And then we got together. And what about yuqadikatki?
People converse place.
Yes. Well, in this case, it's people's conversations, right? So in terms of how we could translate that, how would we put it all together? Oh, Saku.
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
she knows people's conversations?
Yes, and so you could, and you could also probably argue, you could probably say another way to say this would be Ausaku Aadé wuchin yuqadil atkiye. So you could probably say that. Um,
She knows people talk about them.
well, that would be Ausaku hastu dot yuqadil atki. But instead we have this wuchin, right?
Together,
Yes.
she knows how to talk with others, with each other.
Yeah. Right? Or how to converse. Oops. Twitho. Okay. Cheesh.
Ashiguk wush dia at kana jace ka hestasa you us itch
Cheesh.
wush dia at kana jace ka hestasa you us itch.
Ah,
Man, this is a tough one. I'm gonna guess, okay? Ashiguk. She really she really knew. Whoosh dia at kana jace. Is that carry?
that
Together
is,
carried stuff?
that is a carrying verb. Yes.
Kahestasa is nothing.
Nothing.
You ust itch. So that's hes ust itch. Ust itch. Is that a fill up verb?
Uh, there is one that's similar. Actually, yeah. That's there's probably an error there. It probably needs to be like that. You itch.
Okay, I'm gonna tap out. I don't know.
So eat would be to fill something with a liquid. But what about eat?
What about what?
Eat. So
L apostrophe EET?
here's the verb root we're looking for. Let's go to our favorite golden book. Oops, I'll move it over here. Okay, so we'll look under TL apostrophe. There it is. And then we get, that's what we're looking for. Abandon, desert, leave, throw away. So it's probably throw away, which we'll just look up to see what it looks like. So then we got duneishi, dak, ausik, it, de it. So this is to throw something away, right? We do see there's a couple of things that we can notice from these examples. One is that there's an object and a subject because we have a third person and it has a in front of it. The other thing is these are both perfectives, but they're not the same, right? So it should tell us like this is probably a motion verb. So there you're going to have what would be a na conjugation form and a zero conjugation form. And what we're probably looking at is a zero conjugation form. So coming back to our translation, What's the difference between ausaku and aushaguk?
Knows how to do is shukg.
Right, right. And so this it's really interesting too, because you could argue for aushaguk for either one of these, right? Ausaku wuchin yuchadil atki. She understands conversations, right? Um, or you could say she knows conversations. Aushaguk. But then these ones are a little bit more of active types of things. So the first one, wush diya. So diya is for something to be on the other side of it, right? So like you could say, diya de kakwagut. I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to walk around the other side of this lake. So wush diya would be these things that are separated from each other. At kanajech. So that would be she knows how to put things together. And Heshtasa yu ulkitch.
She doesn't throw anything away.
Right? So she's not wasteful, right? There's different ways you can interpret that. Okay. Who wants to read this one?
Chad, go
oh.
ahead.
Da sa place ach du yesh ye ansenech his uayat I away du tuadach du chukka du in ach zu wuslenach
Okay.
wuslenach.
You could probably say Keshi Wuyati. Go ahead and switch. So what if we just go sort of like, so here's a thing. Chadasa kesh atchdich ye asnech. What do we possibly have here?
Um, Something about I'm trying to think like old or re
What would atchdich? What if we just took that?
Is that making food?
Not not really making, right? So this is interesting because if you had atchdich, you would have people are making things, right? So that is making, but this is
saving, keeping,
like keeping. Yeah, so ye asnech is
like
always saving something.
saving, storing.
Yes, and so just remembering this verb could mean to heal, but it could also mean to like you're gonna put it in your Tupperware and save it, right? You're gonna not, it also means to save. It means to save something in two different ways. Like, you saved me, which would be like you helped heal me, you helped straighten me out. But then it could also be like you saved that for later. You didn't eat it all, right? Or you saved some for somebody. So then if we come back to here, if we have these two things that are very similar. And I'll use a perfective in this case. And then, did my underline? Okay. So if I just copied this whole thing and made this change, those are two different things. How are they different? Kayakajit outleyech and kayakajit outleyech.
That underline X, dach.
It's not.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Right? So I could also do nadak outleyech and nadak outleyech. It is a similar type of suffix. I think it's probably the same suffix as like this one. If you said
So it's you personally, it personalizes it?
well, it just changes, like in this case, it changes what the verb is saying. Okay, so this one, kaya kajit outleyech. They made a chair. They got some boards, hammered them together. Now there's a chair. This one, kaya kajit outleyech. They used a chair.
Hmm.
Okay. And if you put some other noun here, and it could go on either side of the verb, which is really interesting. Now this says they used a rock as a chair. Okay, so once you put that underlined X, it means to use something. Like, so they'll say, another example that I'll hear is they'll say, this will be a command. So I'll say, whoops, using a different keyboard. Shayech Kuhaantí. That's a command. What is it saying?
Use your language.
As we say, speak clean, yeah, speak
Yes.
language.
Use our language. Right? So this means to use something. When you have people are using things. That's what it means. Like people are using things. I should copy all this to some notes so that we can have it to look at later. Okay. So, chadasa, what is that?
whatever.
Whatever. And then I might switch keyboards, so it's going to drive me nuts. Okay, whatever.
Isn't used.
Yes. It's not a good typing day for me. Ye asnech.
It's saved.
It's stored, saved.
She always saves. Right? And you can rearrange it later if you need it to, right? But that's what that part is saying. Heshi wuyat owe. Heshi wuyat owe.
It wasn't long.
Yes. Dutu wadach.
That is on account of or because of.
Her husband and
Du in ak.
is that family?
Mm-hmm. Shaanáx.
We're rich again.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you about that? Where is that? Like I've heard talkie or I'm just asking about people always ask me how do you say family,
Yeah.
and that's what you would point to there. Is that
The way it was explained to me is ta'qiyan would be like your siblings. So if you say "Aqtaqiyawe," that means person same generation, same clan, right? So technically, "Itaqqiyan" would be Yanyedi people who are about the same age as you. And it could also refer to your blood siblings. "Inaq" would refer to your family, mother, father, siblings. The sort of concept of the nuclear family, I think, would be "Qa'inaq." Okay. Another nice big juicy sentence. I told him,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, you go ahead.
Pastu tu yake, weka hech ushkek, chadasa, dujich ye yati at kagech ahayach.
Sheesh.
The community was feeling good. I don't know what chank means. And that's about it.
Khank, yeah. Hastu khank ku'a. That's kind of one thing.
the people close to them or near to them? Is that
Right? And so this is like hastu khank ku'a would be like the people of the same village, the people who lived by them. So that's what that's referring to. And then, yeah, hastu tu yake. Now we could just say they all feel good. Weqa hesh ushqeq.
Weka with a man.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's a negative.
It
He
is.
wasn't stingy.
Yes. So if we look up qeq, go down here, and here's shiqeq, stingy. And so tesh ushqeq is not stingy and is also the word for generous in Tlingit. And so we could say that Chadasa dujike yeti at kakagek uhaich. So I guess here,
Whatever he had.
yes.
His possession.
Yeah, whatever was in his possession. Kakagek uhaich.
He would give to
He's-
people.
Yeah.
Always.
Right. And so kage is a really interesting thing. Like I'll hear kage quite often. This is how Kako and Ish said it, right? And so I just tried to write down the things they said. I was like, I'll figure it out later, because this was probably 10 years ago, right? I was like, I remember I just said, my kids don't eat baby food, they eat real food. Give us real language. And then they were just dropping bombs. And um, so dujik yeyeti at the things that he has. kakagek uhaich. So the uhaich part means like he just moves them there. He just that's where they go, right? It's a really interesting sort of thing in terms of how this verb is working, because it seems to almost lack a subject basically, because wuha would be, or uwaha would be the sort of perfective of something like this, which would mean it just appears or it just goes that way, right? And so in this case, it always goes out for the benefit of the people. It's kind of the literal interpretation of that. And so as we sort of, this stuff it was all in English, and I would read the English sentence to them, and they would just sort of think, and then they would say these sentences. So it was really fun. 15 lines, 30 minutes, let's go. Who wants to read this one?
Ayuk litikat yak eye at duji yan kaudiga yak eye at ka kashi eye na at kase ka kis.
Sheesh. So let's chunk our way through it. Ayuk, which could also be said ayuk.
Suddenly.
Suddenly. The katyak a at duji yan kaudiga.
Every good thing she had.
And then yan kaudiga is probably worth looking up just to see what we might be dealing with here. So we'll look up ga, and we'll see if there's something with ka, ya, ga, or ka, di, ga. That's what we should be looking for. So here is ga. So we get distribute, put up, store, accumulate. So we don't have this verb in the verb dictionary, which means we can see if Lear has it, and we'll sort of go from there. So let's switch over to the Lear notes, and we'll look up ga and see what we could find. So here's ga, distribute, scatter. And we do have yakau daga to be scattered there. Akau shaga, distributed there. Kawaga, kauchaga, kaudlaga, yachkawaga, waiting, kauduaga. So I don't think we have it anywhere. But what it means, coming back to here, and this is like an interesting question as we sort of keep moving forward. Like, what do we do with these verbs? Because we will encounter new verbs. I encounter them when I go through the work, especially from Marge and George. They told me all kinds of things that I don't think are out there. Like, I think it's whoosh gate yao de gu, when two cars crash into each other, right? And so you don't really have that, but you can see how it works. Yawagu is for a fleet of boats or a pod of killer whales or a group of cars to move together. So whoosh gate yao de gu, these cars ran into each other. And so here you have duji yan kao de ga, which means it accumulated. So it's similar to being distribute, but now you have, because the distribute, it switches to an L classifier, which means you're helping other people accumulate things by distributing it, right? So then if you have duji and kao de ga, I guess every good thing, like they had the best, they had it, right? And then you've got the yun in front of it, which means it's to completion. Yak'e atcha kashaqay na'at kaseit kakis. So now we get a list.
Good food, beautiful clothes, and necklaces and bracelets.
Sounds like the Emmys to me. Okay.
Kalagayi Naat.
Oh, good. Okay. These are shorties, so let's go. If you haven't read yet, it's a great time to do it.
Dus iki hadushalshi awe akaye uti gunhanuku katakhi.
Jeesh. And what do we got? I guess we got kind of a list here, these two things.
Dishes and spoons.
Oops. Dishes and spoons. Akayebuti.
We're on it.
And this, yeah, it's another one we'll probably have to reconstruct, right? Which we can do just verbally. We won't rewrite the whole thing. Gunhanuku katukhi. I can give you tukhi if you don't know it.
Abalone shells.
What goes good with abalone shells? Say it again. Dentalia. Oops. I gotta get a word for opercula. I don't know if I found that one yet. This one is dentalia though. A lot of times opercula would be on the dishes and spoons. Not really dentalia. That's better for like necklaces and headdresses and stuff.
Renee, does the translation really need to get inverted, as in her dishes and spoons had abalone shells and dentalia on them?
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, this is how translation works as you do it. It's usually you go kind of chunk by chunk, and then you can. It's almost something where you have sort of a 3-column thing going, but it's also, it just depends on, like, as you go forward, and if you become an active translator, which we need more of, this is the process you'll follow. So you'll probably go through, and as you do this more and more and more, sometimes you just look at this whole thing and just rewrite it in English. You won't have to do it in these chunks, but it's good practice for us.
Could you say it this way? Do speak e kadu shashli away gunha nuku ka takhi akayewuti.
Yeah, right. So like basically, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing. So you have these 3 octopus tentacles, and the octopus can move their tentacles around. This is like exactly how they teach the language in Hawaii. To say these are tentacles, they can be moved around. You could say kunhanuhu katakhi. You could say it that way as well, right? But you have those 3 things that you identify, and they have to move together, or else it breaks up the meaning. And not every sentence can do that. Like some of them. It just sort of depends on. Tlingit will give you the most important thing first, right? So if If the shells were the important part, you might say gun chanuchu chatachi diziki chadushashlio akayewuti. But I just went with what they said. Like this, that's how they said it. That's how I wrote it down. It was such a fun exercise. There was so much fun to work with. Okay, 20 minutes.
Dak uni nach du ik has chudzati sahan. Her brother, two of her brothers, I don't know, were they born? They were there? They came? Not
Kudzati is to exist.
the
So
two
how would
of,
we say that? How would we say that in English, right?
she had two brothers.
Da kun hua.
Not four. Oh, wait, yeah, four brothers. Sorry.
So, all right. So that's how you could take care of that too, right? That's a useful sentence to say. Now you could say they have 3 kids, they have 2 husbands, they have whatever, right? And the kudzati one means to exist, but it just means that they are there too. Like there's another story where they said has ausatin kesh akkusti, which means they could see that she wasn't there. But in this case, you could also use yati here. There's 4 of them. And that yati works really well because you could say naskyati chus wikake. That's a 3-legged dog. It took me a long time to figure out how to say 3-legged dog. That's how you'd say. Okay.
Just give me that again.
Yes, Wuti.
Oh, you want the 3-legged dog again?
Huh?
Tlingit ani Yeswuti. They lived in Tlingit land.
Okay. Or that could also be interpreted as in the village.
Oh.
Either one. Let's go. We're in high speed mode now. It's a little short sentences.
Dachnachyati haslanast. 2 of them are rich or wealthy.
Okay.
Dachnachyati kwa anash ideh hasati hat hasush hate. Two of the brothers, however, were poor and they were not lucky.
Yes. So 2 of them, however, were poor. I do think Kanashki Deik does need a underline K. Is that what goes on there? Or is it just a K? Let me look it up real quick. I know we've been talking about this word a little bit. Cheetwu and I were talking about this word. So let me look this up real quick. Kanashki Deik. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Kanashki Deik Hasati. And then coming back, you could say Kesh Has Ush would be, oh, and that needs to be high. So Kesh Has Ush would be they are not lucky. But Kesh Has Ush they were unlucky. So those are slightly, it's one of those things that also has the yak-a, kesh-uke, kesh-ushke, where there's an antonym for it.
Ya dachnach llinan lli a. Yadu I has. Du hunt has ga adin awe. Kidain has du dat ausitak. So those two rich ones of her brothers, and for the rest, tlehosika.
Okay. Duchant hasqa'atin. What do we got there?
With them?
So hunt is to visit or to be by. What about hasqa'atin?
Went?
So it's an interesting construction. This would really be like when they used to, technically. And there's you could say qa'atni. You could say that as well, like every time they visit. And so whenever we sort of tie two things together in Tlingit, sometimes there's a way to do it where it's like good, it's good to see you. When they came to visit, this thing happened. But this construction is a little bit more like every time they visit, this other thing happens, right? So it's a lot more cause, and Tlingit is very deliberate about how it sort of does this cause and effect type of stuff. So when they visit, what happened? Kadain hastudat yausatak. Do we know that verb? Let's look
Is
it up.
that to look after something?
Yes. So we're gonna look up talk, and we're gonna see yaus. Let's see. We're looking for ya s. I think we sit talk is what we should be looking for. And then maybe it has the dot in front of it. So then we get ya sit talk. Ka da ya sit talk. To care for, take care of, look after, serve, minister to. So this is a verb which means to take care of someone or to wait on them, and so like to be attentive to them. This is one that shukg uses when he talks about why our people can see into the future, because they're always thinking about how they're going to yafsatak their future generations. And we could summarize it like this, right? But this is when you're talking about hastudat yausatak, she waited on them, she took care of them, she met their needs, is really what it's talking about. "15 minutes, 11 lines maybe? Up against the clock. Shot clock's just going down."
Je usneech, or je do seek. She brought out her good dishes. Yes, she always.
Yeah, well, we're in high speed mode, so I might add a couple of things here and there. So at the language nest, they'll say "Shtakat Yuhan, Shtakat Yuhan, Da Sadak, Sadak, Ye Yisane Ye Yisane Kadain Kai Chuk, Kadain Kai Chuk." I think that song comes out of Yakutat. So "Shtakat Yuhan, Cha Da Sadak, Ye Yisane Kadain Kai Chuk." All of you, everything you brought out, put it away. It's a great song for kids because they just keep bringing stuff out. Like, where's all this stuff come from? So in this case, you have Doc Ye Usnage. Doc is going to make this carrying verb a zero conjugation. Doc Sane, Doc Ye Sane. Bring it out. And so when you put the CH on there, you're also going to have the irialis because it's zero conjugation. Dak ye usnich. She brings it, and sometimes people will translate this as brought out, but it can also be translated as always brings out.
Awe du ik has ya has katsike has du finachik Aadé has achtin nuch.
Jeez.
Because of that, her brothers, I Kudzige Tlechwasaku.
Ya has kutzige. Ya kuyidzige you home. Anybody know that one?
They're smart or intelligent.
Has tu llenarchi. Aadé has altinnuch.
Very rich.
Well, hastu shenarchi. So now, oh, I guess that should be like that. Hastu shenarchi. This is their wealth as a noun. Aadé has altinnuch.
They took care of their wealth. Good.
Yeah, and so they always take care of their wealth. Well, good, yeah, like they do a good job.
They take good care of their wealth.
Ooh, they always take. I told you guys were pizza gay. Told you.
Yeah, anaskidek du ik has tutle de hucht has our ki ashjas ha dake na snei i akach has agachayit. So the poor ones of her brothers just when her husband invited them, he said, bring out your good ones of your dishes so they can eat off of them.
Oh, agachayit. That's purposive, right?
Yes.
White teeth.
Akachayit, so they can eat. And then you have akach, from off of it. So they're going to eat off of these good dishes.
Wow.
Yeah, what? Kaisiku, you nailed it. Okay, we're high school.
9.0. Stuck the landing.
Sahan ye yawaka heth akua uske we hanashke de akach has ach ayach we yak yakei sit.
So the Sahan said,
Don't.
Well, hesh ach tuwa ashka.
I don't want.
I don't want. Yeah. Don't want. Kind of.
Ek
Those poor ones?
Akach has achai weak isik.
Asakai is eating.
Eating off our
The
good
good
dishes.
dishes.
How rude.
We don't need that end quote.
Ya anashgedech kuu at ashlayek hech kiden gugati.
Sheesh.
So the poor
Ones. The poor people.
is that that used or begin they use
But what they use.
is that must be is that future or something they
It
were
is.
they
And
were
let me say something real quick about Kadain Kukati. How would you folks, anybody out there know how to interpret that? Kadain Kukati.
Good. Gugati distributed.
Well, this Kukati is an uncontracted Yekwati.
Oh.
So when you say Kadain Kukati, what that mean? Any other anyone else want to interpret that? Kadain Kukati.
They will become good. They will become better.
Yes, yeah, and so that's how it works. That means it will improve.
Ah.
Like if you just said that, like let's say someone's life is in shambles, right? It will improve. That's what that says. So if you say
It won't improve. It won't be
yes.
better.
And there's other way, like you could say, there's another way to say something like this, but it's a little bit more active. Like you could say, ke ye aguchsane. Or I think you just say, ke aguchsane. They're going to ruin it. But that's a little bit more sort of what she's saying here is like, if poor people use this, it's going to get ruined. So that's why it becomes heshkadein kukati.
Kuhaantí sawe wuchinach les ut ich in du kustiyika yak ye adu da ye wutien. How many years?
Yes, and so when the sentence kind of starts with this, like kun tak sawe or kun yaki sakshawe, something like that, it's not usually a question, it's a statement. And so what would that statement in that case be? Anybody know? And this is just how these things work.
for many years.
Yes. Shaanáx. And so again, like this is the story of Sahan. So that's who we're talking about in this sentence.
Also down below I see kustiyi, or way of life.
Mm-hmm. But for many years, she was Shaanáx.
Wealthy.
This is a perfective decessive. Used to not be.
Her life was not hard or
Yeah.
difficult.
and good things she had, but that's over. She used to have.
Good things used to be around her. Oh, we got a decessive. That gives you a big hint. That probably means it's not that way now.
What part of it means it's not that way now?
The in.
Watáan.
Yeah, so you could say there were nice things around them. But if you say du wutiyen, used to be, not anymore. So that's what this decessive does. And we see it right here too. Like, so her life used to not be difficult. And good things used to be around her. So we get double decessives in here, which means something bad is going to happen, which it's set up already, right? This is the way Tlingit stories work. It's like you see someone do a thing, right? Like, which is treating poor people bad. That results in the jinaha comes your way, which we have in the next sentence.
Like talk itik yak udach wana oe duchan is it one winter?
Not a winter.
Year?
Talk ite.
Spring, the end of winter.
Chayakudach. It's a variation of chayak or chayuk.
Suddenly. Her husband died.
Uh-oh. Here comes a big critique of Shingit Kusti. Be ready for it.
What is the DA accent X?
This right here?
Yeah.
So this word chayak is suddenly, and chayakudach is a slight variation on that. It's like from something that suddenly happened, he died. So it basically is saying, I think when you say chayakuna dukhana, he suddenly died. But if I think if you said chayakudachuna dukhana, I would say it was sudden and unexpected, the way that he died. These kids turn the light off behind me. I'm just sitting in the dark. Okay.
So is duck there from?
Yeah, it's from
So
something, from a sudden occurrence, perhaps. But a lot of times I just hear this as chayak or chayuk, which means suddenly. So like as you're telling a story, like all of the sudden this thing happened. Right. So in this case,
a lot of times chayak uday.
oh yeah, chayakude. I'll have to do an examination of these because they are slight. Chayakude would be like going towards something sudden. Chayakudach would be coming away from, something sudden maybe caused this, or, from something sudden, he died. Chayakude, yeah.
Ha kusti ye awena teach. Du kuk wunayi akatletachat. Du atki tut asakujel. So our way of life. And then I'm going to jump over to her husband. who had brought all the food, I think.
Mm. Okay. Hakusti ye away na teach.
Oh, wait, yeah.
What do you think we got there? Ye na teach.
It's always that way.
De chuk wunai.
Kune, like, if you ask somebody, Dakwa Nach city, is that Na mean people on the same side?
Yeah, it means a clan or a tribe or a nation.
So
No.
would that be the people on his husband's side, clan?
Well, in this case, you have de chuk wunai.
Oh, her
So
dad.
yeah, this is a verb put into the subordinative mode. So it's saying like when that verb happens. And that's wu na. But then you'd have wu na yi, right? Because you could say ach tu wu kau what wu na yi. I'm heartbroken that they died. But in this case, you would have, and you could say
When her husband died?
yes. A cut, do wu na yi, a cut. And so in this case, the a cut is literally on it, but it's saying like, I guess because of the death or on account of that death, the cut do utki tut has akujel. And I guess I could say it might make sense to do it this way. I don't know how to do it though. Has akujel.
They carried all of her stuff.
And this de is not. Yeah, it is, right? So I would probably say and this is a thing, maybe not every Tlingit community, but long time ago, like if a man died, all that stuff went to often to his
Clan.
clan, right? And so now, especially because she's an orphan, she's not going to have rights to claim any of that stuff. So all them nice dishes and spoons, they put them probably in a big old box, and that's why you have toot, like just sort of on its own. It's really interesting, right? Toot hasakujel. I'm probably going to ask Kakatlat how, or if we want to ask an Ashahash or someone, that should probably be a fourth person. So I think it would be Katujel.
They didn't just put it away though. It stayed with the clan.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't hers any longer.
So that would be another,
Yeah.
it didn't just get put away. Yeah, it was like, yeah, this all belongs to the clan. So,
So long.
Yep. Like Hashakay Shashk, like a sek, the cut at. Those beautiful spoons, dishes, everything. Last three, come on, let's go.
If we stop now, we'd know exactly where to start up next time.
No big cliffhangers. And then she was not wealthy. Again, she became a poor person at that time.
That time.
Hold on. Johan, Kodachoy, Shagam. Hastachan Kuwa Uwa. Uwa Has Yehas Uwaji, Hesh Ushke. Achawe Kanashki Dek do ik has Nishdasa has to G. Kawasa Kesh Tush an has to in. Achawe Yewune.
The poor brothers.
The poor.
Yeah, poor brothers.
Yeah, Has. Who's chopping? Who's chopping?
The people around her there,
Mm-hmm.
they thought, or they, would you,
She was not
Huh?
blessed, not lucky. She was unlucky.
Unlucky. Keep that high.
Because of this, the rich brothers?
Wait.
Rich brothers? No.
Poor brothers.
Because
The poor one, sorry. Yeah, because of this. Oh.
they had nothing. Kawasa Kesh Tush an has to in.
how unkind she was to them.
Well, and not only that, usually when the brother dies, one of the other brothers will take her as a wife.
Right.
And
Well,
they
but
were, yeah.
her
But
brother,
these are her brothers, aren't they?
which is interesting because everybody died. I don't know. I have to figure that one out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's where everybody died. So maybe these must be just four of her cousins. Achoyewune, because of Yewe Katuaka, Shesh Iyach, Wekanashkidek Ka Nikdain da Inek.
The moral of the story is
That is why people say, uh-oh, we're missing two lines. We'll do them fast.
Oh, there they are.
That's why people say you won't write doing things with ill will to poor
people.
Hesh ituk sha'ani uchke kwati ekusti.
Don't um
We do have one of these. So what the ni suffix does, which I might have to change the other one up there. There was one up there that was a decessive that might have to switch, right? They look just like the decessive, but it's ni instead of in. But then you also get the conjugation prefix in there. Hesh ituk sha'ani. Whenever you are unkind. Okay, that's what that is doing. It is an advanced verb mode. We haven't really looked at it, but it does mean when that thing happens.
it changes your life, or your life changes.
Your life will go out of control.
Oh.
So this uchke means like blindly, out of control, and just a wreck of things. Oh, go ahead.
Into oblivion.
Yeah, like it's just out of control. Your life is out of control. And this means like bad things are coming, right? So this is a classic construction in Tlingit. And you could say, and that's why you'd say, ke utiqa, so that nothing bad will happen. And then you talk about the things that you're doing. If you go through hatu nagu, yes, you'll find probably 3 or 4 examples of people saying ke utiqa, so that nothing bad happens. Qshti akhwasa shenach weqa hastu ya ayakune. Closing line.
It doesn't matter how wealthy a person is.
And the big command to close out the entire semester.
You have to be nice.
Respect them.
Respect them. Okay.
Hastu
Oh
ya
yeah.
ayakune.
Yeah.
That's it. Now we know. No cliffhangers. That's a wrap. Yewe yanshuwatanyata. Awushkanachutu da'at. Wasashtiqachatatiya deyejine. Kisaan tin. Ka wushya awudne. Kanachaweyake. Kunchishuhan. Awakdisi. Zu wushkanachkachtu da'at. Ka ye wushkachtu steen. Wegao. Ja, je dit ko gachtu sa. Chayegu geng. Gachtu sa.
Chish kne, chish kati Juan.
Shiwan. Ziagen.
Chish,
Johan.
chish.
Ganashish.
Nikecha.
Chish. That, I have a question about that that phrase, so nothing bad will happen.
Oh.
At a kuich, at a certain time, they say a song or a chant.
Oh yeah, like the 3 a.m. spirit song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could say Uchke utiqa yek uti kegachtu shi. Keshatuashku we yesh keshawasku wanachse yakeha yati keshu tu. So nothing bad will happen. We're going to sing a song. We don't want the ravens to be wondering why we're awake, because the ravens start to wake up in the daylight. And so even though, like, hey, daylight till like 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. winter, but it's still, that's 3 a.m. seems to be the time when they do that. And it's because it was in the fall time as well. So that's what I was told, is because you don't want the ravens to wake up, like just the actual ravens, the birds. Like, why is people awake? What on earth? So you sing the song to make sure that everything, so you can send a message to them and so that it's okay, so no one gets hurt.
Cheese.
Kuhaantí, I don't know if Jiwu told you, but Keishi is, they think is doing better.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Her esophagus is swollen, and they're doing a biopsy, or they did a biopsy maybe, but her daughters seem to think that it's going to be okay.
Oh, okay.
She has to slowly start eating again and be built up in the hospital, because she's down to 96 pounds. So just have to, everybody just has to pray for her. And,
Okay.
Nay. So I just wanted to ask about, I know this is finals week, and if there was anything Jinkasi needed to do for the internship, is there anything you need in closing or how to wrap that up?